Looking to learn life lessons without going through the experience? You've come to the right place. Welcome to Hidden Struggles with your host, Lady C.
All right. How y'all doing out there? This is Lady C. Welcome to Hidden Struggles. And in this upcoming episode, I'm going to share an experience that happened to me this morning at the post office. Now, I had been running into this brother all the time, what used to be a good friend of ours, he and his wife. And when we left this religion, of course, you know what happens. You can't be friends anymore, okay? But whenever I run into this brother, he always talks to me. He knows we don't go to meetings anymore. I don't even know if he realizes that we're out here on YouTube talking about the organization or anything like that. But this morning, our conversation was kind of interesting because he asked me, he said, "What do you think about the debt ceiling?" And I was like, yeah, that's a hot mess, right? But then the light bulbs in my head started going off because, Jehovah's Witnesses are always preaching doom and gloom. So that means that if we don't get our debts paid and the United States starts to crumble, other nations are going to go down. And this means that the end of the world is so near. But if the end of the world comes, and I always say this, it won't have nothing to do with Jehovah's Witnesses, okay? But, so in our conversation, we're talking about politics. And remember, Jehovah's Witnesses, they're not interested in politics. They don't, do politics and stuff like that. So we're just having this casual conversation about politics, and he's throwing out Uncle Joe doing this and that, and this is the reason why the banks are falling and stuff, and because he's giving all this money to the Ukraine. He's saying all this kind of stuff, right? And I'm just listening, because, according to Jehovah's Witnesses, they don't really care about that kind of stuff because it's just another sign of the end. It's a sign that, hey, look, pretty soon Jehovah's going to come in and get rid of all these kingdoms and usher in his own kingdom and so forth and so on. So then we were just kept continuing to talk, and I was just making I started like throwing in these little side comments like, voting and stuff like that. And it's important that we vote because we got to vote for our interests. And, I wasn't telling them who to vote for or anything like that, but I was just talking about what the importance of voting is. And I even talked about it even from the standpoint of the homeowners association, because with the homeowners association, you got to vote and you got to put people in office so that they can manage your development where you live at. And so then I also was talking about this activist on the Sirius Radio that I listened to, and I asked him if he had Sirius Radio, and he pointed to his car, and he said, yeah, that he had Sirius Radio in his car. And then I asked him if he knew this channel that I listened to, and he said he didn't know who that person was. So I said, well, but I said, he's like a political activist. So I said, you probably wouldn't really know him anyway, but he doesn't just do political topics. He talks about other stuff too. And I said, but then again, y'all don't do politics. And so then I took a step back and I said, well, wait a minute. I said, you over here talking about politics. I said, you over here talking about Uncle Joe and what he did for the Ukraine and all this kind of stuff and the debt ceiling. I said, so you are saying something about politics. And he just laughed, because it's one of those things where you live in this world and you try to act like you don't live in this world. But when it comes to getting benefits, you and your family need those benefits. Y'all need to, tap into something. You got your water, your sewer, all that kind of stuff. You got to have some organization to get these kind of services delivered to your home. And so when you really think about when we were Jehovah's Witnesses, how crazy we sound when we're always talking about we're waiting for God's kingdom. So I was talking to my husband this morning and I was relating the story to him. And I told him, I said, it's really interesting that even if we give Jehovah's Witnesses the 6,000 year where mankind has been on this earth for 6,000 years, because of course we learned that scientists, learned that humans have been here way longer than 6,000 years. But let's just say we give the Jehovah's Witness the 6,000 year number and say, okay, we agree with that. But you mean to tell me that in 6,000 years, you are still going to sit there and not participate in your community and act like you're going to wait for God's kingdom and you can't vote for this cause or that cause? How can you do that? How can you sit there and actually believe that you can do that? You know, it just makes no sense because you have to have some kind of organization. And just because I vote for this person over that person has nothing to do with them setting up a kingdom that's going to rule forever. And so I'm so glad that we got out of this crazy religion, you know? But, you know, I was having so much fun this morning that I finally looked at the brother and I said, even though you don't vote, I said, I just want to let you know that your vote counts. It counts for something. Because if you vote for one candidate or another, and the candidate that you voted for because you think that their interests can help you while you're on this planet, then your vote counted for something. So I just want to come out and share that with you guys. And anyway, I hope y'all have a good day. This has been Lady C, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for listening to Hidden Struggles with your host, Lady C. This program was sponsored by Critical Thinkers, online at hiddenstruggle.com. Feel free to send an email to info@hiddenstruggle.com, and we'll catch you next time on Hidden Struggles. The views and opinions of our guests do not necessarily reflect the opinions of Critical Thinkers.